Hey everyone, I'm Dylan, and this is Jennie.
Hey.
We're facilitating several upcoming workshops on disrupting our whiteness. So we want to do some recording so that y'all can get to know us a little bit. And if you would let us know your thoughts about all this, so that we can get to know you a little bit, we would love that. And most of our workshops are all of our workshops are question based and relationship based. So we connect with each other and with ourselves a lot around questions. So we're going to demonstrate some of that right now. So Jennie, I'm going to ask you, um, why is it important to be vulnerable in this work of disrupting our whiteness?
Mm. Thank you for that question about vulnerability and the importance of it. Feels so important to me in disrupting my own whiteness. I think one thing that's on top when you ask me that right now is how much perfectionism and doing it right for us as white people has really continued to perpetuate racism and other systems of oppression as well. But that if I can actually be more raw and real and feel into my own tenderness, uh, I can start to dismantle from the inside out the ways that these systems are working within my own body. Um, and to get rid of, particularly for us as white facilitators, that myth that we've got it all figured out, that we're expert in this. And we'll probably talk about this in some other at length and some other time, but that when I can show up with vulnerability, I can hit into some of my own deep wounds in a way that can heal and move me through it versus just kind of glazing over it and being like, I got this. I figured it out. I read the things. They told me what to do. First you do this, then you do this, then you do this. I'm absolved of my racism versus
Mm-hmm.
having my real personal felt experience of what it can feel like to undo whiteness within me and around me, because it's painful. It's not easy. I'm not trying to say that, oh, life is so hard as a white person. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is the work of undoing my whiteness is not easy, and there's lots of systems in place to tell me, don't do that. Keep going with the flow. Um, yeah, and so that's one of the reasons it feels really important for me to stay vulnerable in this work as both a person working on this personally and also as a facilitator.
Mm, thank
So
you. That was rich. I heard a lot.
I'm curious what that brings up for you. If there's anything that I shared, Dylan, that resonates or doesn't resonate or makes you think in a different direction.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot there around the importance of like undoing our own personal racism and like how if we're not actually being deeply vulnerable and honest with ourselves around what we're undoing, then we're not actually going to be able to undo it. And I thought that was really important because my brain was actually in a totally different place.
Mm,
So I really appreciate that, and I also appreciate you bringing perfectionism and how like the perfectionism of white supremacy culture is just keeping our actual racism inside of us just like in place because we're so stuck on like being the good person and the good white person, right? And I think like maybe that's similar to where my brain went. My brain went to modeling, like modeling with other white folks, like what it means to actually undo racism. Like if I'm not doing the work myself, how can I actually expect anyone else I work with to do it? I often think about it like as um in terms of like who I have access to in my life. And like, I've been like low income for a while. I've always been like a laborer, not an owner, like not a capitalistic owner, not a CEO, not like really high up in anything that I've done outside of like independent facilitation stuff. And I keep thinking like who has more power than me in this work or in this world, and like how can I get them involved in the work? What systems do I have access to? What relationships do I have with people? And and like if I'm not modeling deeply undoing my own racism where I have access to these systems, where I have access to power, I can't really expect anyone else that I work with to be vulnerable. And if I'm asking people to undo their racism but not modeling it myself,
Mm.
um, I'm not modeling what's possible. Like I want us to dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper to undo it, so we can actually undo the systems at play that are oppressing people. So
Mm.
um, yeah, I kind of think about it in terms of like modeling and reaching into like what's possible.
Mm. Yeah, and I appreciate what you're talking about with modeling too, because that's, you and I spend a lot of time now talking about these things and processing them and working through undoing our own whiteness and working with our racism. And uh, I feel like what we're hoping partly in these video series, these little snippets, is like to model some of the experience that we have with each other and how we process what's coming up. So thanks for bringing up the importance of modeling
Mm-hmm.
with vulnerability.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I'm thinking like, yeah, if I want other people to do it, then I've got to be doing it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear all y'all's thoughts on vulnerability in this work, and please reach out to us anytime, and we'd love to hear your questions and ideas.
Peace,
Great.
y'all.
Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you, Jennie.